Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily. It's Des here. Thursday Thoughts, the live question and answers. Just before I start, I'm just going to say I was looking to do something slightly different today. Unfortunately, plans didn't quite work out, but not to worry. Got some questions to go at, a variation, good variation to be honest. Really looking forward to getting stuck into those. So, as ever, I'm here, getting out of my comfort zone, answering your questions, putting me on the spot a little bit. And some of these questions tend to do that. Hopefully you're having a great week. Hopefully you're enjoying everything you've been doing. The weather's been fantastic, hasn't it? Whilst it's been great, I've just actually finished a really tough session. Got out for a run again, so that's really pleasing. Building on that enthusiasm from yesterday. If anybody saw the episode yesterday, really sort of pleased with the way I'm getting back into my running and enjoying that. And of course, whilst on a Thursday, I look to answer your questions. DOdaily is essentially about encouraging people into activity, setting the example a little bit. And also my personal vlog, ways I'm feeling, my opinions on this. On a Thursday, that side of it kind of comes into its own. So it's just sort of a check-in daily to see where we are, to see how we're coping with the situation around us. Like I say, feeling absolutely fantastic. Really looking forward to getting towards the end of the week. As ever, we all prefer the weekend, and the Euros start tomorrow as well. If you're into your football, that's really exciting, isn't it? Lots of sort of dream teams and this, that, and the other. I've been sorting out, all these things that we do, as football fans and get excited about. So really looking forward to the first game, and then England, of course, after that. And that leads me sort of nicely, really, into this last week's throwback question. I asked which stage of the competition will England reach in the Euros. Again, not everybody's into it, and I try not to bring football into it too much, but I thought it'd be a great time to just pop it in. The Euros can create a lot of enthusiasm. It can bring people together. It really can, before anybody kind of goes, whoa, whatever. It does, I've said it many times this week already. In the last major tournament, when everybody was fighting over Brexit, it really brought the nation together. Great summer for me. Seemed to spend most of it in the pub, mind, and in the sun, but absolutely fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Me and the people around me really sort of made the most of that summer and celebrating a bit of success, because we're not really used to it, are we, with the England team? So hopefully this time it's going to be a lot better. And like I say, that's why I kind of mentioned it. Some of the response to that throwback question, I said myself that I think England could reach the semi-final. I think experience will just sort of get the better of them in the end. They've got some really talented young players. I really, really like Phil Foden. That's my sort of player to watch. Somebody I'm really sort of keen to see in these big games for England out of that Man City team. And of course, Grealish looks a real hot prospect as well. I just think the defence and like I say, a little bit of experience might let us down come the latter stages. Could get to the final, possibly win it, but I think they'll get to the semis. A lot of people tend to agree with me on that. James said that England will get to the semi-final. Kay also said that. Dawn thinks that they'll get to the final. Luke says that he thinks France will win the tournament and that England will get to the semis. And those players I mentioned, including Mason Mount, they're going to excel in the tournament. So lots of responses. Really pleased to get that. And again, it's just to get us thinking, isn't it? It's just to give us some sort of focus on what we're doing. If you're not that interested, you might just look out for these players on what we've said and just think, oh, yeah, they are decent after all. And hopefully, like I say, England can get a long way and we can have some fun watching it, and take our attention away from everything else that's going on and the possibilities of what might or might not happen. And again, I've kind of linked myself in nicely there to the first question this week. Comes from Kay, as it often does. We talk a lot, as you might have noticed. Do you think Boris should delay the lifting of restrictions planned for the 21st of June? Well, do I think Boris will delay it? Probably. It's looking more and more likely, isn't it? What seemed to sort of find out. I've watched a lot of news, even though I advise against it if you're not feeling great. I've watched a lot of news through the pandemic. It's not got me down in the way it's got some down. So I've sort of stuck with it, look for the positives in it all. It's hard sometimes because they tend to focus on the negatives, don't they? Focus on the dramatic. But I feel like when you do watch the news, you get a feel for what's coming. They kind of know already. They're gearing us up for it not to be a shock, I guess, when he says it's not going to go back to normal straight away. So I think, in answer to that question, Kay, I think the reality is that it'll get extended. I don't think that we'll take any steps back. I think they'll probably extend it a couple of weeks at least, perhaps a month. Should they delay that? I'm getting to the point now where I think no. Lots of people are vaccinated. We was told that the vaccinations would do the trick. And whilst I was lucky to get my vaccination early, and I believe people should have it, I'm not going to preach at anybody about not having it. But again, it becomes a choice, doesn't it? And we've got to get back to some sort of normality. The longer things go on, it's affecting people in many other ways. There's people. I'm a big supporter of prostate cancer, for example. I've done a lot of work for them in the past, and somebody dies from prostate cancer every 45 minutes, and nobody's kind of up in arms about this issue. The daily deaths from that will be a lot higher than they will for coronavirus at times. So we've got to sort of find a way to live with it, find a way to cope with it, keep sort of encouraging people to get vaccinated. But ultimately, if they take that choice not to, it can't be forced on them. Then we've got to find a way to move forward. So I don't think it should, but I'm not a decision maker. So whilst I think it will, I think it's time to sort of just keep striving forward. We have to keep striving forward with this because, again, I use prostate cancer as one example. You've almost got, the mental health thing, something I'm really big on, of course. A lot of focus through DOdaily goes towards that. People are suffering from that more than you can imagine. And I see that in my small circle. Whilst in many ways my life's gone back to some sort of normality, and I'm quite content. I can understand how others are suffering. I like to get out for exercise on my own. I like to get outdoors for exercise, and those things are allowed. One thing that's really going to bother me, if it's not sorted by the start of the football season, I can't go into big crowds. And whilst that sounds pretty selfish, I'm just trying to sort of deal with it the best way I can. I'm trying to cope with the situation. So whilst I like sort of doing things and visiting places and doing different experiences, those are the things that have kind of been taken away from us, haven't they? But in terms of looking after myself and encouraging activity and meeting people outdoors to do that, I feel like we're getting back to some sort of normality. Spoke a lot in the last couple of weeks about the groups returning, the group activity. And that's been a major sort of plus point. Whilst it's made me busy, it's really put me in great spirits. I've already mentioned it, but getting out for a run with friends last night in the actual running group, it's brilliant. I've just done a session there where we worked really hard with 5 or 6 guys, and the buzz you get from that, it's better than any sort of indoor experience. It's better than sort of doing any of that. But going back to the question, almost, it's a case that we have to keep moving forward, don't we? And I don't understand some of the things that are happening whilst cases are going up. I completely understand that. The vaccination sort of, that was always going to be the case, once you started releasing things and releasing people. So the vaccination is supposed to be stopping that, and it was supposed to be the older people that was the problem and going to die from it. But I could speak about this all day, I could get on a soapbox. But the basics to the question, do you think it will? Yes. Should it? No. Thanks for the question, Kay. Moving on to question 2. I think this is a particularly good question right now as well. Do you prefer a run early in the morning or later in the evening? And this is from Simon. I've said already about the activity I've just done. Been out for that session. Actually did the Ross Barkley Challenge, football related again. But for anyone who don't know what that is, it's basically running a 5K in 5 splits, and pausing your watch and waiting as long as you want. Sounds really easy, sounds really simple, but it's not. And when it's as hot as it is today, I think today in Nottingham is probably as hot as it's been, and definitely as hot as it's been for one of these sessions. So it was really, really tough. My reason for sort of reiterating that and going over that again is usually I prefer to run in the evening, but right now it's so hot. And I was saying to one of the guys before we started, I don't know if this is true or not, or it's just something I've made up in my own head. All of a sudden in this country where it used to seem to sort of peak at midday, 1 o'clock, the weather always seems to peak about 5 o'clock now. I always find that the hottest time. So whilst I'd love to get up in the morning and run, the reality is that doesn't really happen. I do it in short bursts, and I don't feel particularly comfortable in the morning. I like to warm to the day. I'd love to get up in the morning, get my run in, get it ticked off, get about what I've got to do and safely know it's in the bank. I know it makes me feel good when I do actually do it, but I never feel comfortable running. So I actually prefer to run in the evening. But right now, I think I'm going to have to make it a bit later than that. And that's important, isn't it? We speak about the weather a lot, of course, and doing activity and how it's important. Lots of the guys had plenty of refreshments today, and doing such a sprint challenge like that, it was really important to take that fluid on board between each sort of leg of what we was doing. But yeah, it might be a case as summer draws on to get out early again. We've got another session planned for Sunday, and we was all talking how hot it's supposed to be. So we've got that planned, and I think it's just important. But my personal preference is to get up early and do it, but my body don't really allow that. I'm a much better runner in the evening when I've come to terms with the day and done things. So thanks for that question, Simon. Really good one. Moving into question 3. This is from Joanne. Have you got anything lined up for when you finish the Robin Hood Way on Wake Up to Walk? Of course, the next episode will be tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. At the moment, what I'm doing is getting up every Friday to follow the Robin Hood Walk from Nottingham Castle up to the Major Oak in Sherwood Forest, 12 miles, doing a small section of it, 3 or 4 miles most weeks. 1 week I did 15, I've gone back and revisited it. Really, really enjoying it, really gives me a bit of extra purpose. Whilst I can highlight some of the points I try to make and why it is beneficial in getting up, contradicting myself slightly what I've just said about the running. It does really work. It just doesn't work for my body, But getting up early, doing some activity, I just get up and take the pace off rather than try and run and force myself into a difficult scenario. I try to sort of take the pace off, come to terms with everything, reaping all the benefits of fresh air, vitamin C, plenty of daylight at the moment, blue sky, I've spoke a lot about the benefits of that. But what I'm doing is trying to sort of use this trail to give me a small challenge. I'm always working to challenges. I'm always talking about accountability and why we should sort of add a bit of that into everything we do. So this just keeps me going, doesn't it? Rather than sort of get demotivated, because I do struggle to get up, rather than sort of get a bit flat and do the same places every time and stress about where I'm doing and what I'm going to do. It just gives me a different sort of focus every week. And it's really sort of enjoyable as well. I'm seeing so much of Nottinghamshire. Always say I'm really proud of Nottingham, being from Nottingham, proud of where I'm from. But I'm seeing so much more of it. Whilst you drive past some of these places sometimes, I'm getting right up into the sort of middle of the county now. Anyone that knows the geography, Nottingham's right down south and the route goes up north towards Sherwood Forest. I'm getting to see different parts, some amazing views. I learned a couple of weeks ago about the tall trees and what they kind of did for me. I can't emphasize how much they worked. What it did for the soul that day was amazing. It almost cleansed me by the time I'd finished. Wasn't expecting much. So it's amazing to go and find these things, and take so much from it. And that's all I'm trying to do is take a little bit more from the actual session itself, and just really enjoy it. When it's finished, 1 or 2 people have suggested 1 or 2 things. I won't reveal too much, but there's lots of walks. Mind to do it in reverse? Possibly not. But there's lots of little projects I'm working on at the moment, and looking at sort of the benefits of nature. Anyone who sort of watches regularly will know a couple of weeks ago I put some extra focus on nature when it was Mental Health Week. They use that theme, connect with nature. And more it's becoming part of sort of mental health, and people are realising that if you get out there, it can have massive benefits. Whilst I encourage people to get out into nature and take part in physical activity, the physical activity, of course, it's important, but it's not. Nature helps alone without that, just being out there, whether you sat there by a pond or whether you're having a slow walk with a dog, that these things really work. And people who sort of make the most of it and get up early, that it helps in so many ways, like I've touched on. So I've got plenty sort of in the pipeline. I'm not going to reveal too much. There's some more sort of coastal walks I'd like to visit, and get away. A couple of weeks ago I went to Skegness and I walked inland for once rather than walk along the seafront, finding an amazing route. So things like that now, I've become more aware of what it's all about. And I just really, really enjoy doing it. So whilst I've got lots planned, I'm just looking forward to what I'm doing at the moment, getting towards the end of it. Keep passing on the message about why it's so important. Little things along the way as well, sort of trigger memories. Something else I learned a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking about the rain and referred to a word my grandma used, and all these little things just help put a smile on my face, made me think about it. Of course, I think about, she's not here anymore, I think about her every day anyway, but it kind of just makes you realise it. And when you're not feeling great, when you're feeling a bit tired, because I generally do on a Friday morning, it just picks you up, and then all of a sudden something like that makes you aware of where you are, your own mental state, makes you smile, brings you on to the day, and all of a sudden, from feeling tired, you feel alive to everything that's going on around you. So that's why I find it really, really important, and to do things like that and just add that accountability. Of course, on the bank holiday weekend, last time we walked the first 20 miles, we revisited it. I invited some of the Do Running guys to join me. On the next bank holiday, we're taking on the next 20 miles. That's open for people to join. I'll do the same, encourage people, because I'm inspired. I want to inspire other people to do it too, and that's all it's about, isn't it? When we find something we love doing, we want to bring people in. I do it with a running club. The only reason I do all that kind of thing is because I enjoy running, and I enjoy getting absolutely what I can from the things I do. Touched on about sort of feeling like I'm getting back to some sort of normality. I have to keep checking in all the time to realise what I now do. I've said it a lot over the past couple of weeks about not like getting overwhelmed by things going back to normal. But I found so many things that kept me ticking over, that kept me sort of active and kept me strong-minded. The pandemic didn't get to me too much. So why should going back to normal get to me? Live like I did in the pandemic. Of course, there's one or two things like the football and cricket mainly I want back. But other than that, it's about just making the most of what we do. And that's what it's all about, isn't it, guys? It's just one of those nice things to do. So, of course, join me for Wake Up to Walk tomorrow. I'll be back to let you know where I am. Really going into unknown territory. Quite well known, Newstead Abbey for Lord Byron. I'll have a couple of facts about that, but somewhere I've never been, despite the fact I like to think I know where I am quite a lot in and around Nottingham. Major landmark, I've never actually been there. So looking forward to walking up through the grounds, up towards Mansfield. Catch that. And of course, if you've got any questions, I'd love you to sort of post those in. Email me, des@dorunning.org.uk, or check out any of the links that are now scrolling across the bottom of the screen. Post on any of the comments through the social media. I'll pick those up. I'd love plenty to go at. Without your help, I can't really put on an episode. I might end up doing next week what I was planning to do this week, but I like to sort of bank your questions up and get around to them when I can, You know, it really helps me sort of put some content out there and just keep doing what I do. You know, I really enjoy it. You know, whilst not everybody in the world watches it, I appreciate that. People have got other things to do. It's a perfect sort of check-in for me to realise that some people do take something from it. Some people watch it every day, you know, and there's little things that just sort of trigger us. Like I said about myself, I take things when I'm out. I took things from the coaching session and just put on there. Do you know what people said to me? And then I'm thinking, how could we do that better? And that's all it's about, isn't it? Unless you listen to what's going on around you, you'll never know, because none of us know it all, unfortunately. The throwback question, as ever, I'll leave one with you from one of the questions. Going back to Simon's question, are you an early bird or a night owl for your activity? Do you like getting up early? Do you like going out late? Again, the weather might play a big part in that, or there might be safety reasons or around why you do it. You know, all sorts of things. We've touched on this in the past, but again, because it's so warm right now, I think it's a good question to throw back and see where people are at with it. So if you can answer that too, post in all your questions on those links. Like I say, I'd love to sort of go through those. For now, I'm going to go and get a shower. Really, really warm. Still adjusting to the new time slot. Still getting used to sort of doing it a bit later and fitting everything else in. Working to a really tight diary now. But that's not a problem. That's great. Love to plan and prepare. I'll be up early, planning and preparing for the weekend. You know, reflecting on the week gone by, thinking about how I can do it better next week. And that's what it's about, isn't it? Just finding those slight improvements to keep going. Hopefully, Boris will be kind to us. Hopefully, England will win that game on Sunday and put us all in a good mood for Monday motivation. So until then, have a great rest of the day, guys. Catch me in the morning on that walk. Just doing it.